I traveled to 4 countries in 77 hours in Africa. Hi guys, I just did an amazing trip that I can't keep quiet about. And traveling in Africa is wonderful, it's beautiful, it's awesome, guys. If you get a chance to just get out of your village, get out of your city, please travel. Even if you're not traveling out of your country, even if traveling just another part of your country and seeing how people live there is just wonderful. It's like a blessing, So anyway, I'll be telling you why was I traveling, which are these countries and all that. I'm gonna tell you, but let me say this: traveling in Africa, and especially if you want to do inter-country, multi-city, even booking a multi-city flight in Africa, it's really hard. It's actually very expensive. It becomes very expensive, especially in West Africa. Myself, I'm Kenyan, and I live in Kenya. I live in Nairobi, but like West Africa, let's not even talk about Southern Africa, East Africa, but Central Africa, Western Africa, and North Africa. I don't know. The flights become very expensive. Like, let me tell you, a flight from Accra. I remember I was in Ghana, Accra, last year, end of last year, November, and a flight I was checking because I wanted to go to Burkina Faso. Ouagadougou. Do you know a flight was like about? It was coming to almost 50 Gs. Okay, 50 Gs, that would be about 500 USD, something like the 500, 400, 500 USD. Like, and the flight is like, it's not even maybe 2 hours or 3 hours, you know, two or so hours or something like any. I was like, okay, we are not doing this. So, but that there's a problem right there. There's a problem there because it becomes really hard. So, but if you want to experience Africa, see the people's culture, and even see the challenges and opportunities in Africa, if you can, use road. Use road. So, for me, I was traveling. So which are these countries? So I was attending a conference. I was actually hosting a conference in Durban, South Africa. So of course I flew from Nairobi to Johannesburg, then again to Durban. So when I finished my conference in Durban, from Durban, we had set a trip to go to from South Africa to Eswatini. Eswatini is Swaziland, and then from Swaziland to Mozambique, and then from Mozambique back to South Africa, and then from South Africa back to Kenya. You get, so the countries are these. The countries are basically South Africa, Eswatini, Mozambique, and then Kenya. And actually, it's 5 countries because I passed by Malawi. So I actually took some time in Blantyre and Lilongwe on my way back. Yeah, so um, I had traveled for work, and because I was hosting that conference in Durban, and then after the conference, now of course, we went around to see Durban, so Ushaka Marine and all those beautiful places in Durban, and then now from Durban we took a bus down to Manzini. Manzini is a city in Eswatini, that is Swaziland. Okay, so as a Kenyan, you don't need visa to enter South Africa. You don't need visa to enter South Africa. You don't need visa to enter Eswatini. As long as you have your passport, your yellow fever, you are good. Hiya. So we went to Manzini. And then, of course, because I had friends and members of our organization, Youth in Africa, and I do a lot of youth programs across the continent, through our organization, Youth in Africa, and many other organizations as well. And also as a corporate speaker and trainer and life coach, I get to do programs, in different countries as well. So, of course, I was seeing some of our members. We were meeting some of our members there for Youth in Africa in Eswatini, and just meeting some friends there. So we actually, spent some time there. And then from Eswatini, all the way, we took a bus from Eswatini to Maputo. Maputo is Mozambique. So for me, being in Eswatini, if you've been to South Africa, you feel like it's a small South Africa. Like Eswatini is a small South Africa because, it's really, really like surrounded by South Africa. Lesotho is the one that's really completely surrounded by South Africa, but Eswatini at least borders Mozambique and, on this other side. And so I went to, so we booked, we took a bus down to, taxis down to the border. Ooh, the border was called what? I remember this is Lomahasha. I think it's the Lomahasha border. Yeah. So from Eswatini to Mozambique. And it didn't take long actually from Manzini to the border of Mozambique. It took like an hour or 2 hours. An hour to 1.5 hours, yeah, around there. So we arrived. And when we arrived, of course, we crossed the border to Mozambique. Yeah, it was raining. Whoa, the kind of rain that welcomed us to Mozambique, I'll never forget. We really got rained on, you know. But it was amazing. We were saying, hey, these blessings, eh? So we crossed the border and to the Mozambique side. Now, as a Kenyan again, you don't need visa to enter Mozambique. So you just need to give your passport. Now, you better make sure you know your Portuguese because Mozambique, they speak, um, they speak Portuguese. So we went over to Maputo, to Mozambique, went to, and again from the border to Maputo, I think it took about 2 hours, 1.5 to 2 hours again. And then from, we went and enjoyed, hey, we really had fun in Maputo. It's amazing. At least some of our friends and some of our members that are there actually speak English, but most of the people really there just speak Portuguese and their local languages in Mozambique. It was awesome. Maputo is awesome. It's beautiful. It's at the beach. It has very many beautiful beaches. The white sandy beach around Indian Ocean. Very beautiful. Hey, I still haven't really got enough of Mozambique. I have to go back there again. And then now, coming back, we came back with Intercape. Intercape are those South Africa buses, so which actually travel around SADC region. So we booked a bus from Maputo, Mozambique to Johannesburg, South Africa. That's where we are boarding our flight back to Nairobi from. So we came back. It's far. Let me tell you, like from Maputo to that border of Lebombo. That's the border of Lebombo, between Mozambique and South Africa. It was like maybe about 1 to 2 hours. The whole of the day, the rest of the trip, the rest is really in South Africa. South Africa is a whole continent of a country. Hey, so we really enjoyed seeing South Africa. Of course, you sleep on the bus and all that, but it was a good experience really seeing around South Africa. And then now, getting back to the Johannesburg, we had booked Ethiopian Air, the one that's usually operated by Malawi Airline, because I think Ethiopia Air has shares in or a stake in Malawi Airline. So that flight is going to take you back. It's going to take you, first of all, to Blantyre, Malawi. So you're going to use some time there in Blantyre, just for people getting in. So mutakaka hapo, you'll stay there for a while. And then from there, from Blantyre to Lilongwe. So I'm not really counting Malawi in this trip because I didn't really go to immigration. It was just at the airport there, at the boarding gate there, really. But well, I breathed Malawi air, so it's a fifth country that I was in. And then from there, of course, now after Lilongwe now, back to Nairobi. So that's how it was basically the typical breakfast in Johannesburg, lunch in Lilongwe, and dinner in Nairobi. It was awesome. That happens when you have booked a flight like that. I know there are many other flights you can book like that. Like there's another one I've always done, from Johannesburg, breakfast in Johannesburg, lunch in Kigali, Rwanda, and dinner in Nairobi. So I make sure that I have booked a day flight so that when I arrive in the morning, or at least in the morning hours in Kigali, I can actually get out of, I can get out of the immigration and get into Rwanda and do one or two things during the day in Kigali. And then in the evening, I'm back in time for my flight back to Nairobi. So that's basically how I managed to do 4 hours, 4 countries or 5 in under 77 hours in Africa. Yeah. So I'll be sharing more of that. Let me know if you have ever done a crazy trip like that. I know some of us, you've traveled. This is even nothing but to you, but basically that was my experience. And if you haven't tried any of that experience, it's amazing. Please, it's amazing. I'll be posting some more tips. Please stay tuned.